So we're going to have multiple recordings today. Now we are onto a new service, all right, which is compute. AWS compute. When you hear the word compute, compute simply means computer, all right? Virtual machine, all right? That's compute. So in AWS, there are a lot of compute services. So if I come to my AWS account and duplicate this guy, I think we are done here. But I needed to delete. Wait, what's happening? I need to delete this endpoint. You know, come out. Okay, don't come out. All right, I'm done here. So come back to this guy. Come back to your console. Now go to services and come to compute. Compute. So I click on compute. We have a lot of compute services. AWS App Runner, Batch, EC2, EC2 Image Builder, Elastic Beanstalk, Lambda, Lightsail, AWS Outpost, Serverless Application, SimSpace Weaver. All right. So now in this compute service category, we shall be working with EC2 and later Lightsail. EC2 and Lightsail. So that's why we have it here. EC2 and Lightsail, right? So we want to start with EC2, okay? So as the name implies, EC2 means Elastic Compute Cloud, right? 2C. That's why it's called EC2. So EC2 is AWS implementation of a virtual machine. So when you talk about virtual machine on AWS, it is what? It is EC2. So when you create an EC2, you are creating a virtual machine. Now let's get started, guys. All right. So under instances, we have instances, we have instance types, we have launch templates. Images, we have AMIs, AMI catalog. Elastic Block Store, we have volumes, we have snapshots. Network and security, we have security groups, we have elastic IPs, we have key pairs. Load balancing, we have load balancers, we have target groups. Auto scaling, we have auto scaling groups. All right. So now let's see how to create an EC2 instance. So in the process of creating EC2 instance, I should be able to explain most of these sub items. Let's get started, guys. Come over here. Now I'll go to my search bar. If you don't see the service on your recently visited dashboard, which is here, just come to your search bar and type EC2. You will see it here. You can see virtual servers in the cloud. It's a virtual server in the cloud. It's known as EC2. Click on it. Now, once it opens, you see this is the EC2 dashboard, the EC2 global view, and events. All right, so let me see this is just a dashboard. You see a lot of things, resources. You see if there are, how many instances are running. You see how many elastic IPs do you have. You see how many load balancers. You see snapshots, auto scaling group, instances, placement group, volumes, etc., etc. All of these things are shortcuts to some things that are already here on my left-hand side. These guys are shortcuts to some things that I already have on my left-hand side, right? Let me see what's under global view. Global view. Okay. Okay, it's just something else. Okay, no wahala. Just something else. Come back. EC2. EC2. All right. So now I'll come to what? Instances. So instances is a blade. My this has changed. My region, you can see I don't have any instances here. I don't have any resources here because my region has changed. So I need to change back to what? Island. So now it is showing what? North Virginia. So I'll come back here, North Virginia. I'll change it back to Island where I have my resources, right? So I'll now have my guys. You can see them. They're back. So instances will tell me all the instances that I have created. That's what is under instances. You can see instances. All right, great. So also on this instance, I can create an instance. I'll come to what? This far right, launch an instance, launch instances. So I'll click this drop down. So the moment I click this drop down, I'll see launch instance, launch instances to create an instance, launch instance from templates. To create an EC2 instance from a template, you're going to create a template and you're going to launch an instance from a template. Now migrate a server, all right? So now if you need to create an EC2 instance, you come to instances and on your far right, you come over here, you click this guy and click on what? Launch instances. Click on launch instances. Now these are the processes, all right? This is the form you need to fill. It's a kind of wizard to create the instance. So you come here and you give it a name. I can call it CH2 VM. That's the name of the instance. I'll scroll. Now we have AMI. What is an AMI? An AMI is Amazon Machine Images. Now we are onto AMI, guys. So let's come down here. AMI. So AMI is Amazon Machine Images, right? So these are pre-built images for different services. All right, it could be an application services such as application, operating systems, etc. All right, so they come in form what? Of an image. So what happens is this is what Amazon does. All right, so Amazon creates a lot of images. Let me go back to that guy. Now there's a place called marketplace. How can I see that marketplace? Okay, I can browse more AMIs. Browse more AMIs. All right, so browse more AMIs. So click on this browse more AMIs. So this is the marketplace. I think I can see it here as well, somewhere at the bottom. Oh, it's not there. AMI under images. Do I have machine? Okay, it's not there. It's not there. I'm supposed to see it somewhere. All right. So now this is the AMI marketplace where you get different AMIs. A lot of images are here from different providers. On my left-hand side, if you need Linux, you see only Linux AMIs. If you need Windows, you see only Windows AMIs. Meaning that if you want to create a Windows-based machine, a Linux-based machine, you see them here. We'll do all of that. Then the architecture, there is 64-bit and there is 32-bit x86. There is 64-bit x86. There is 64-bit Mac. There is 64-bit Mac and there are a lot, right? These are the architecture and these are the OS category, both Windows and Linux. And there is also free tier. You see them, all right? So this is what we call a marketplace. So from here, you can choose images. All right. Now, but we also have, let me go back to the launch an instance. We have a quick start. So in this quick start, we already have Amazon Linux. Amazon Linux, Mac OS, if you need to run Mac on a virtual machine. All right. Mac OS. We have Ubuntu. We have Windows. We have Red Hat Linux. We have SUSE Linux, right? We have Debian, etc., etc. Please, somebody should off his video. Thank you. Etc., etc. All right. So these are what AMIs are. AMI is an image. So this AMI, Amazon Linux AMI, which is Amazon Linux image, is an image of the operating system. That's what it means. It is an image of Ubuntu. It's an image of Windows. It's an image of Red Hat. Okay? Now let's get started. All right? So I'll give you the name. After giving the name, I'll now choose my AMI, application and OS images, Amazon machine image. Come here. So I need to create an Amazon Linux. So I'll select it. If I need to create Mac, I will select Mac. If I need to create Ubuntu, I will select Ubuntu. Then I will get options. These are the options for Ubuntu. Mac. These are the options for Mac. All right. Amazon Linux. These are the options for Amazon Linux. All right. So we have Amazon Linux 2023. So I always want to take Amazon Linux 2. All right. It's still under free tier eligibility. So what? 20, or no, Amazon Linux 2. All right. Take Amazon Linux 2. Then scroll down. You can see it's a verified provider. All right. The architecture is always x86. You can change architecture if you like, but keep it simple. x86. All right. 64-bit. Scroll down. The instance type. Now, for coming now, we have what? Instance type. So we have different instance type, a lot of instance types. All right. So we have from small range to higher range, depending on your compute, your compute requirements. Depending on your compute requirements, your workload, your application. All right. So if I need to design a memory intensive application, I will look for a higher instance type. If I need more space, if I need to develop an application that has a very heavy workload, then I will look for a instance type that is very big, but still moderate. All right. Now, because we are learning, you always see this guy. Now we have T2 Nano. T2 Nano comes in the family of T2. You can see they come in the family of T2. It has one CPU and 0.5 gigabyte of RAM, which is 500 MB. And current generation, true. We have T2 Micro, one CPU, 1 GB RAM, and that. So you see a lot. We have T2 Small, T2 Medium, 2 CPU, 4 GB RAM. T2 Large, you can see it's increasing. 2 CPU, 8 GB RAM. T2 Extra Large, that's what this guy means. T2 Extra Large, 4 CPU, 16 gigabytes of RAM. We have T2 2 times extra large. All right, 2 times extra large, 8 CPU, 32 bits, 32 watts, gigabyte of RAM. We have T3. All right, T3 Nano, T3 Micro, T3 Small, T3 Medium, T3 Large, T3 Extra Large, just like that. We have C5, C5 Large, C5 4 times large, 4 times extra large. That X means extra large. 4 times extra large. C5 12 times. You can see now we have 48 CPU, 96 gigabytes of memory. So these are higher machines depending on your workload. You don't just take these guys, because if you take them, they will bill you. Look at now, this guy is how much? $2. $2 per hour. And they will tell you that in 1 hour or what so, you could be charged in a month, you could be charged almost 1,000 something dollars just for using only one of these guys. All right. So they are used for highly intensive computing. Highly intensive computing. Now, this is near metal. This C5 metal. It is close to physical machine. This is that I tell you now. It is very close to physical machine. 96 CPUs, 122 gigabytes of RAM. You can see. So a lot. So let's cut our codes according to our size, my brother. So we are working with what? T2 micro. Now, key pair. Key pair. Let's explain. We've seen what? Instances. We've seen instance type. We shall come back to launch template too. We have seen AMIs. Now, we want to see what? Key pair. Key pair. So when you hear of key pair is a private key. It's a key. This is a key used in accessing your EC2 instance externally. The key pair is used to access your EC2 instance externally. Now, this key pair generates two keys. Guys, listen, oh. Key pair. The key pair will generate two keys. One will be a private key, and the other will be what? A public key. As the owner to this key pair, AWS is going to issue you the private key. AWS is going to give you what? Your private key. It is this private key that you will use to access your EC2 instance. This private key, you must not share it. As the name implies, it is private. It is only for you. It is not for another person. It's not for your colleague. It is only for you to access your resource. Guys, listen, collect the OTO as they come. The private key is for you. You have access to the private key. No one else should have access. Should have access. No one must have access except you. It's your private key. You use the private key to access your EC2 instance. AWS, at the point of creating your EC2 instance, is going to create the private key for you. Now, the public key, AWS will install this public key automatically inside the EC2 instance. This public key will be created somewhere on this instance. I wouldn't want to go into depth where that key is. But when we shall start Linux and we get to the topic of SSH, all right? SSH key management, then we shall come back and start uprooting some certain things. Then you will understand some certain things. There are things I cannot tell you right now, just like our Lord Jesus Christ, all right? When he was talking to his disciples, all right, he said, there are things, if I tell you now, you will not understand. When the Holy Spirit shall come in the second coming, he shall tell you those things. Then you will understand. All right? So, yeah. So I'll keep it at the top level. Okay? I have an idea. The key pair has two keys. One is a private key, and the other is a public key. The private key gets generated instantly, while the public key gets installed onto what? The EC2 instance. You won't see the public key because it has already been what? been installed on this EC2 instance. So since the EC2 is, no, let me not go further so that you don't get confused. Let me just leave it there. Key pair. Now, you can create a key pair, or you can use an existing key pair. So let's show us how to create a key pair. So I'll just right click on this. Okay, it doesn't go. So just click to take me a new. All right, this is the new page. So create a key pair. I can call it CH2 key. CH2 key. Now, the key pair type is RSA. This RSA is one kind Greek name, algorithm. So there are two different algorithms. We have EG25519 and RSA, right? So always use RSA. Now, the private key format, it has two formats. One is .pem and the other is .ppk. .pem is used with OpenSSH. OpenSSH means I am running a Linux machine. On Linux machine, we have OpenSSH, all right? And on Linux-like, I would say Unix-like machine, like Mac. Me, I'm running Mac, all right? So Mac supports OpenSSH. But today, Windows also supports what? OpenSSH, all right? Windows, from Windows 10 thereabouts, Windows 10, 11, they support what? OpenSSH. Now, we have another format called what? .ppk, all right? If you need to use this key with PuTTY, there is a terminal tool used randomly on Windows environments. It's called PuTTY, all right? So if you need to use your key with PuTTY, then you have to download a .ppk format of your key. But since I'm using OpenSSH, I'm not using Windows, OpenSSH can still work with .pem. Sorry, your Windows can still work with .pem. So I'll go with what? .pem. Very simple, guys. I'll click on what? Create key pair. So the moment I click on create key pair, you see automatically it gets down, the private key gets downloaded to my base machine. Let's check our download. I think I need to delete some of these things. Download. So you can see the key, right? So here's the key. Okay. The certificate, right? Close it. So I have it now. That's the key. We have created the key. CH waiting. CH key. That's it. CH key. I will scroll down. This is network settings. So this is where I need to provide my VPC, my subnet, etc. Okay. Now, but this guy is using a default VPC. So when you create an AWS account, AWS comes with default VPC. So that default VPC already has internet access. It has subnet. It does everything. So for this course, I will use this default, right? I'll go back and create a VPC later. All right. So if I click on edit, you can see it's using what? Default. Subnet. There should be a default subnet. Don't worry. In as much as you're using what? Default VPC,